Minutes past 8. The latest battleground over public access to conservation land is a high country sheep and beef farm near Arthur's Pass. The Overseas Investment Office has approved the sale of Mount White Station to a New Zealand resident originally from the Czech Republic. Now, the property includes almost 1,000 hectares, known as Riversdale Flats. They were originally meant to be set aside for inclusion in a national park. Earlier on Morning Report, we spoke to Forest and Bird spokesperson Jen Miller, and she says we've lost an opportunity to save a very rare environment.
Just seems to be a sort of ongoing failure by the agencies, and in particular LINZ and the Department of Conservation, to get together and to negotiate with the previous leasee, and certainly when the lease was being sold a couple of years ago with the new leasee. And we're extremely concerned about that. This is really a special place.
With me in the Wellington studio, Jerome Sheppard, Land Information New Zealand's Deputy Chief Executive of Crown Property. Good morning.
Good morning. Does
Forest and Bird have a point that this should have been dealt with before the sale?
Look, this is a 100-year-old issue. You know, it's both a pastoral lease and gazetted for the national park. It's been farmed since the early 1900s as well, so it's not something that's just happened yesterday.
Indeed, but should it have been dealt with before the sale went through?
So we have an opportunity right now. Mr. Travnicek's representative and our staff are meeting this Friday, so we actually have an opportunity to actually address this issue.
I understand that, but my question was, should you have addressed it already?
So there was no opportunity as part of the sale to actually address this, as been identified. Mr. Travnicek as a Kiwi.
You had no chance to talk to the previous owner?
We had previously talked to the last owner. We think the opportunity that's coming up for us now, Mr. Travnicek has really provided a good intent. He wants to resolve this issue. We want to resolve this issue, and we've got a process starting on Friday.
And the previous owner didn't want to resolve it then?
It had been difficult. The previous owner was in the tenure review process, which would have resulted in it being resolved. But this is now our opportunity to resolve it.
OK, so now on Friday you say you're, getting around the table?
Yes. So we're meeting with Mr. Travnicek's representative.
What are you going to be asking for?
So we both want to resolve this. So, there are significant Indigenous biodiversity values in those lands, and we want to resolve it. So we're working in good faith with Mr. Travnicek on it.
And what would be your ideal outcome?
Our good outcome is where both parties are happy with the issue. We'll have Department of Conservation there, so we need to make sure that we're all happy and resolve this issue.
Are you offering to buy the land?
I don't want to jump ahead of ourselves. If the land goes into the national park,
that's the bottom line here, isn't it?
For
it to be a part of a national park, you've got to buy the land. Do you have money to put behind this to say that yes, you would buy it if it was up for sale?
I don't want to jump ahead of the process. So let's see how the meeting goes on Friday. We've got a good process. Mr. Travnicek has come to us with a good intent. He wants it resolved. We think we've got a pathway to resolve it.
When you say he's come to you and wants to resolve it, what exactly does that mean?
So I think it means actually addressing an issue that's been around for 100 years. So how do we make sure that the land there, the Indigenous biodiversity values, are protected? At the same time, how can we ensure that the leasee and his rights are maintained and protected?
Would you be happy with him retaining the land, but with some sort of, perhaps, Department of Conservation oversight of how it was managed?
Well, actually, it's quite unique in the situation that if there's any cultivation or any sort of land disturbance, the leasee has to get permission of both LINZ and the Department of Conservation. So it does have a significant layer of protection that doesn't apply to other leases.
But what would your ideal situation be? Presumably you have the most control if you have full control, and that involves actually owning it.
Well, that's obviously one end of the spectrum, but we want to start that process on Friday, and we'll see where we go from there.
Do you have an indication of how long this process might take?
Well, that's a really sort of a difficult question, because it has been going on for 100 years. But we have we've got two parties that are intent with resolving it. I think that's a good starting position.
Do you have a budget that you've been given in terms of how much money could be on the table if it is up for sale?
Oh, we haven't even got to that point at this stage.
Okay, this is kind of in the news, I guess, and people's ears are perhaps pricking up more about this because of the Hunter Valley station, which of course has recently been in the news. On that, when can a decision be expected over the access there from the Commissioner of Crown Lands?
Yeah, so it's in a statutory process right now. The next stage of the process is actually consulting with all parties on the easement application by walking access.
Okay, so what is the timeline here?
So over the next, I would think, few months, the consultation process will take place.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time this morning and for coming in. Jerome Sheppard there from Land Information New Zealand. It's 24 minutes past 8.
Some breaking news now. The leading construction company, Ebert Construction, has gone into receivership with workers and contractors locked out of building sites around the country this morning. The company specialises in commercial and industrial work, and it's got major projects on the go in Auckland and Wellington at the moment. Our reporter Jill Bonnet is...